everyone, and welcome back to Days Out, and welcome to my local station. Now the reason why I'm here is not to take you a trip around my county, but because I actually have a back catalogue of previous Days Out episodes that I'd rather like to bring you. So you've already seen me presenting like this to camera, but the next load are going to be just as a voiceover, and then we're going to go back to the PTCs once these are over. So without further ado, we're off to Yorkshire for the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. The North Yorkshire Moors runs for 18 miles from Gromont to Pickering and was once part of the line from Whitby to Rillington Junction. The railway was engineered by George Stephenson and opened in 1835 from Whitby to Moulton, with some sections being horse-drawn until 1845. From 1845, locomotives were used after a takeover by the York and North Midland. This was incorporated into the North Eastern Railway in 1854, who laid a deviation via Goathland in 1865. Passed to the LNER and BR's North Eastern region, the line closed on the 8th of March 1965 as part of the Beeching Report, although freight lasted until March 1966. In the same year, the North Eastern Locomotive Preservation Group was formed to purchase J27 number 65894 and Q6 number 63395. Based at Tynedock, Hartlepool and Thornaby, they moved to the NYMR in 1970. Preservation of the line itself had started in 1967, reopening in 1973. Today, the NYMR has a large fleet of both XBR, steam and diesels, plus some industrial locomotives. Over the years, the railway has made numerous TV and film appearances, most notably Heartbeat and Harry Potter. In 1987, trains started running to Whitby, which became a regular occurrence in 2007, leading to a second platform being constructed at Whitby in 2014. We start at Gromont, designed by George Andrews. The station has 4 platforms, 3 used by the NYMR and 1 on the Esk Valley. From 1959 to 64, the station also boasted 2 camping coaches. Lucy is a Type 4 tram, built by Cockerell in 1890 for the East Brussels Tram Company. Later sold to the Vielle Montage Mining Company, she came to the UK in 1987. At the entrance to Gromont is the level crossing, which has 2 sets of gates controlled by 2 wheels in the signal box. Despite appearances, the box dates from 1996, using bricks from Whitby town and the lever frame from Hordern near Sunderland. The original box was at the other end of the station, between the railway and the Esk Valley. At the Whitby end is the former signal gantry from Falgraves near Scarborough, which came to Gromont as part of a major re-signalling programme. The Esk Valley line runs for 23.5 miles from Whitby to Battersby. Originally, this continued to Picton on the line from Northallerton to Stockton, but was truncated in 1954. On this day, the Esk Valley service was headed by Class 25 number D7628, built by Bayer Peacock in 1965. Withdrawn in 1987, she has since been named Sibylla and is the only mainline registered Class 25 in preservation. Boxed at the other end was Black 5 number 45212, built by Armstrong Whitworth in 1935. Owned by the Keighley and Worth Valley, the locomotive is run under the custodianship of Ian Riley. Outside the station is this single-bore tunnel from the line's origins. Later replaced by the double-track tunnel used today, it provides access to the sheds and workshop. At one time, a row of terrace houses was situated near the depot, but these were demolished in 1989 to allow for further expansion. 1989 also saw the construction of this coaling plant, based on the Stranraer type used by the LMS, and the only one to be built in preservation. On shed is Black 5 number 44806, outshot from Derby in 1944. Withdrawn in 1968, she's been based at Carnforth, Haverthwaite and Manchester. The locomotive came to the NYMR in 2013 from the Llangollen. Q6 number 63395 was built at Darlington in 1918. Allocated across the northeast, including Blaydon, Hull Dairy Coats and Selby, she finally ended up at Sunderland South Dock. One of the last in service, she was withdrawn in September 1967, being acquired by Nell Pegg in 1968 after being stored at Tyne Dock. The Q6 was the second in a series of 3 080s, designed by Sir Vincent Raven for mineral traffic on the North Eastern. 120 were built from 1913 to 21, being classified T2 by that company. The Q6 was an improved version of the Worstal T1 of 1901 and became the basis for Raven's 3-cylindered T3s of 1919. The deviation shed was constructed by Nell Pegg to house its collection. Coming from Longmoor, it was erected from 1978 to 86, but did require the demolition of the deviation signal box. Lambton No. 5 was built by Robert Stevenson and Hawthorne in 1909 for the Lambton, Heaton and Joycey Colliery system in County Durham. Owned by the Lambton Trust, she came to the MYMR in 1969. Starting as a wagonway in 1737, steam arrived on the Lambton system in 1814, although the section from Burnmore to Philadelphia had stationary engines until 1864. A connection with the North Eastern's Penshaw to Sunderland route came in 1865, with running right to Lambton Stays. 1911 saw a merger with the Heaton Coal Company, started by George Stephenson in 1822. During 1917, a shed and workshop was erected at Philadelphia. Originally using 060 tender engines, the company was inspired by the railways of South Wales, who used 062 tanks. The first of the latter appeared in 1904, with examples from Kitson and Robert Stephenson, supported by more designs from Hawthorne Leslie. The Joycey Collieries were taken over in 1924, whilst 1930 saw the arrival of 5 more 062 tanks from South Wales, 3 from the Taff Vale and 2 from the Cardiff. Becoming part of the NCB in 1947, the section to Heaton closed in 1959. Lambton Stays remained until early 1967, with the rest of the system going in August. West Country, number 34101 Heartland, is the only bullied Pacific in preservation to be constructed at Eastleigh instead of Brighton. Rebuilt in 1960 and withdrawn in 1966, she left Barry in 1978, coming to the MYMR in 1995 from the Great Central. BR Standard 4 tank, number 80135, did come from Brighton, being built there in 1956. Withdrawn in 1965, she left Barry in 1973 and has been painted in non-authentic Brunswick green. Her sister, number 80136, was also outshot from Brighton in 1956, working on the Tilbury and Cambrian systems. Leaving Barry in 1979 for the Churnick Valley, she returned in 1990, coming to the railway in 2016, having been based on the West Somerset from 2001 to 2008. In BR days, 5 Standard 4 tanks were allocated to the northeastern region. 1 went to York, with the others at Whitby, where they worked over the NYMR. Transferred to Leeds Neville Hill, all 5 later went to Scotland. Also in service was number 926 Repton, a Southern Railway Schools class of 1934. Withdrawn in 1962, she was first preserved in the USA and later went to Canada. She was repatriated in 1989. Leaving Gromont, Repton passes the shed with the LNER set. Owned by the LNER Carriage Association, the set features both Gresley and Thompson designs, with the group owning 22 vehicles from 1894 to 1950. Beyond the depot, the line passes these 24 workmen's cottages, built in the 1860s. 3.5 miles from Gromont, we pass under the Three Arch Bridge at Darnholm near Beckholm. The gradient on the approach to Goathland is 1 in 49, one of the steepest in the whole country. Goathland was the only station on the new deviation, opening as Goathland Mill in 1865. Designed by Thomas Prosser, the station has featured in a number of TV productions, most notably as Aidensfield in Heartbeat. At Goathland are 3 camping coaches, a 1951 Hawksworth full brake and 2 BR corridor composites, which can be hired out all year round. The concept of camping coaches was started by the LNER in 1933 and soon copied by other members of the Big Four using old stock, including some Pullmans. Different designs were adopted by each company. The LNER used bunks, whilst the Southern had beds side by side, and by 1939 there were 430 coaches across the UK. Reintroduced after the war, the last examples went in 1971. However, in recent years, the idea has been revived by individuals across the UK. The first railways in the North East were primarily for carrying coal and other types of freight. Here in the yard is a wonderful collection of various wagon types. Arriving from Gromont is B1 number 61264 with a short local. These were a common sight on secondary routes, with those in the North East often handled by small tank engines such as the G5s until being replaced by DMUs. The B1's association with the North East starts with their introduction, with the first 10 emerging from Darlington Works. By 1946 there were 80 examples in the area. Replacing the Gresley D49s in the West Riding, others worked from Leeds Neville Hill, where they sometimes substituted Pacifics. Freight turns ran from Hull and Stockton, and the class was very common on excursions in the summer. The last examples in the area were also the last 3 survivors, going from Lowmore in September 1967. Between Goathland and Newtondale, we can observe the original track bed of 1835, and a short distance away is the summit at 532 feet, illustrated by this sign, based on a similar one used at Stainmoor in County Durham. Newtondale Halt opened in 1981 as a request stop for walkers using parts from Warrenby Halt near Redcar. The penultimate station is Levisham, situated 2 miles from the village. As at Goathland, a camping coach has been provided for use in the summer months. The station has been restored into its 1912 condition, when it was shared by the station master at Goathland. The signalman also acted as a booking clerk until a new booking office was installed in 1926. Until 1917, the section from Levisham to Pickering was double track. However, one track was removed to help the war effort. Pickering is the end of the line and the railway's headquarters. The station has been restored into its 1937 condition, including a replacement roof, removed in 1952 and reinstalled in 2011. The station was once a major junction from where passengers could travel to Scarborough, Gilling and Moulton. These lines closed in 1950, 53 and 65 respectively. So that was a visit to the North Yorkshire Moors. Hope you've all enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and feel free to follow me on Instagram. Link down below in the description. Take care everyone, and I will see you all on the next day out. Bye.